When people think of strength, most immediately imagine muscles, training routines, or hours of practice. But let us pause and look deeper. True strength does not begin in the gym, nor in the temple, nor even in the movement of the body. It begins with what we allow into our bodies, because the body cannot create power from emptiness. A sword cannot cut if the metal is brittle. A lamp cannot shine without oil. Likewise, your body cannot give you strength if you do not give it the right fuel. In the West, there is often the belief that food is for taste, for comfort, sometimes even for distraction. But in the Shaolin tradition, food is medicine. It is the foundation of vitality. Every grain of rice, every berry, every drop of tea has an effect. Some are heavy and slow you down. Some create heat and agitation. Others bring clarity, lightness, and strength. The wise practitioner learns to recognize this. He eats not with the tongue alone, but with awareness, asking, what does this give me? How does this change the way I move, the way I breathe, the way I feel? If you want to regain strength in your legs or anywhere in your body, you must first look to nutrition, because the body is constantly repairing itself. Every moment, cells are breaking down and rebuilding. The question is, what materials are you providing for this rebuilding? Imagine trying to build a house, but the bricks are cracked and the mortar is weak. How strong will that house be? The same principle applies to your muscles, your tendons, your bones. Without the right materials, your strength will always feel temporary, always slipping away. Now, when I say the right food, I do not speak of luxury or complicated recipes. I am speaking of simplicity. In fact, the most powerful foods are usually the simplest. Nature has already given us what we need. The difficulty is that we have forgotten how to listen. Modern life is filled with processed flavors, quick stimulants, and artificial energy. But this kind of energy always comes with a debt. You borrow from tomorrow to pay for today. That is not true nourishment. That is a trap. Instead, we return to what the body recognizes immediately. Natural foods, unaltered, unmasked. Foods that carry the energy of the sun, the soil, the water, and the seasons. When you consume them, your body says, I know this, I can use this, I can rebuild with this. And the result is not just physical, it is also mental. Because what strengthens the body also clears the mind. This is why we say the body and the mind are not two, they are one. When your nutrition is right, your energy flows more freely, your thoughts become calmer, and your legs, yes, even your legs, respond with vitality. There is another element here, and it is often overlooked. It is not only what you eat, but how you eat. If you swallow quickly, distracted, already thinking of the next task, then even the best food will lose half its power. But if you eat slowly, with awareness, if you notice the taste, the texture, and give thanks for what you are receiving, then the body absorbs it differently. This is not a matter of superstition, but of physiology. Your breathing calms, your nervous system shifts, your digestion improves, and the food becomes more available to your cells. In this way, even a small amount can give you great energy. So, strength begins not with what you lift, not with how far you walk, but with what you place on your plate and how you approach it. This is the hidden beginning of all power. Before the punch, before the kick, before the stance, there is the meal. Understand this, and you will already be on the path to regaining what you thought was lost. Remember this, every bite you take is either creating strength or creating weakness. Choose with awareness, and your body will answer you with power. In every tradition of wisdom, there are secrets that are passed down. Not because they are mysterious in nature, but because they are easy to overlook. One such secret is the power of certain foods to restore the human body, not over weeks or months, but sometimes within hours. These are what I call the recovery foods, and they are deeply respected in the Shaolin tradition. For centuries, monks, warriors, and ordinary villagers observed which foods gave energy quickly, which foods cooled the body after exhaustion, and which foods returned life to tired muscles. This was not written in textbooks. It was discovered by experience, through daily living, through watching how the body responded. In this way, food became more than sustenance. It became a bridge between weakness and strength, between fatigue and vitality. If you think about it, this makes perfect sense. The body is not separate from the natural world. It is part of it. So why would it not be that the solutions to tiredness, to lack of power, to weakness are already present in the natural world? The challenge is that modern life has complicated what was once very simple. People search for pills, powders, artificial energy boosters. But all of these create imbalance. They push the body forward, but at a cost. And when the cost comes due, you are left weaker than before. The ancient understanding was different. The idea was not to push the body beyond its limits, but to restore it so that it can work within its limits with more efficiency. When your legs feel weak, when energy has left you, the Shaolin approach is not to fight against this feeling, but to supply the body with what it naturally needs in order to repair itself. And this is where recovery foods come in. They accelerate the body's own ability to heal. They do not force energy, they unlock energy. You may notice that I am still not naming the specific food. This is intentional, because the lesson here is not simply about one ingredient. It is about a mindset. If I tell you one food and you eat it, you might find some benefit. But if you understand the principle that nature has provided us with recovery foods, you will begin to see many options around you. Then you will not depend on memory or instruction. You will begin to cultivate wisdom for yourself. Let me give you an example of how this principle works. Imagine that you have trained hard, or walked a long distance, or simply carried the stress of daily life in your body. Your legs feel heavy, your back is stiff, your breath is shallow. If you eat a heavy, oily meal in this condition, you will not feel restored. You will feel more tired because your body must now spend energy digesting what is dense. But if you take a food that is light yet rich in essential nutrients, one that improves circulation and provides quick access to natural sugars and minerals, then your body says, "Thank you. I can use this immediately." This is the wisdom of recovery foods. The Shaolin monks survived intense training not only because of discipline of mind, but also because of attention to these foods. The body was pushed to exhaustion daily, but by choosing the right nourishment, recovery was rapid, and the cycle could continue without collapse. This is the principle that can still serve us today, whether we are monks, athletes, or simply people trying to live with more vitality. The truth is simple: recovery does not always require rest alone. It requires the right fuel. And when you provide it, the body's natural intelligence awakens and repairs you faster than you think possible. So do not wait for weakness to become permanent. Learn the secret of recovery foods. They are not hidden, they are in the open, waiting for you to notice them. When you do, you will realize that strength is not something you chase. It is something you allow to return. When we speak about regaining strength, especially in the legs, we must first understand why that strength is often lost in the first place. Without understanding the cause, the solution becomes guesswork. And guesswork, when it comes to health, usually leads to frustration. Most people assume weakness in the legs comes only from aging or lack of training. But this is only the surface. There are deeper reasons why the legs, which are the foundation of our body, lose vitality. One reason is fatigue. The legs carry us through every step of our daily life. Unlike the arms, which can rest while we sit, the legs are almost always working. Over time, this constant burden creates hidden exhaustion, even if you do not notice it. Another reason is circulation. If blood does not flow properly to the legs, the muscles cannot receive enough oxygen, the nerves cannot fire with full energy, and the tissues cannot repair themselves. Poor circulation is like having a river that no longer reaches the fields. Without the flow, life begins to wither. You may feel heaviness, numbness, or weakness not because the muscle itself has failed, but because it is simply not being nourished. Nutrition is another factor. The legs, like all parts of the body, are made of the food we eat. If what we consume is empty of real nutrients, the body tries to build strength from poor materials. It is like trying to build a bridge out of straw. It may hold for a while, but it will not last under stress. Many people live with this illusion of strength, but the moment they are tested, whether through a long walk, a climb, or even standing too long, they realize the weakness that was already present. But perhaps the most overlooked cause is energy imbalance. In the Shaolin tradition, we speak of Qi, the life force. This is not something mystical or unreachable. It is simply the vitality that animates us. When the flow of energy in the body is blocked by stress, by tension, by shallow breathing, the legs are often the first to show it. Why? Because they are the farthest from the heart. If the energy can flow freely, the legs, being at the periphery, suffer first. This is why you may notice stiffness or fatigue in the lower body before it appears anywhere else. Understanding these causes is crucial because it changes the way we seek solutions. If fatigue is the cause, then rest and gentle nourishment bring strength back. If circulation is poor, then foods and practices that open the vessels and improve blood flow are required. If nutrition is lacking, then you must choose with awareness what you eat. And if the issue is energy imbalance, then breathing, stretching, and mindful practice will restore the flow. The key is this: do not confuse the symptom with the cause. Weakness in the legs is not the true problem, it is the messenger. And if you only try to silence the messenger, the real issue continues to grow. Instead, learn to listen. What is your body telling you? Is it asking for better fuel? For more rest? For calmer breathing? For renewed circulation? If you listen carefully, you will always find the answer. So, when you feel your legs weakening, do not see it as a punishment. See it as a signal. It is your body's way of saying, pay attention. I need your help. If you respond with wisdom, through food, through rest, through mindful practice, the legs will not only regain their strength, they will carry you farther than before. Remember this: the weakness you feel is not the end of strength, but the beginning of awareness. If you listen to it, your body will guide you back to power. Now that we have looked at why strength fades and how the body signals us, we can turn to the central point of this teaching, the one food that can accelerate healing, restore circulation, and bring back vitality in the legs within hours. When I speak of this one food, some may expect something exotic, rare, or expensive. But wisdom is rarely hidden in the extraordinary. It is usually found in the simple. The food I speak of is the humble goji berry. In the Shaolin tradition and in Chinese medicine, it has long been respected for its ability to restore qi, strengthen the blood, and rejuvenate the body quickly. It is small, but do not mistake its size for weakness. It carries within it a unique balance of nutrients, antioxidants, minerals, and natural sugars that the body can immediately recognize and use. When you eat goji berries, the effect is not distant or abstract. They enter the bloodstream quickly, improving circulation and carrying nourishment to places that have been deprived. For the legs, this is particularly powerful because, as we said before, they are far from the heart and often the first to suffer from poor flow. Within hours of consumption, many people notice lightness in the body, warmth in the limbs, and clarity in the mind. It is as if the energy channels have been oiled and movement becomes smoother again. Why does such a small food have such a noticeable effect? The answer lies in its harmony. Goji berries are not heavy, so they do not burden digestion. They are not sharp or irritating, so they do not create agitation. Instead, they nourish gently, steadily, and thoroughly. This is exactly what the body needs when it is tired, depleted, or imbalanced. Rather than forcing energy, they restore the natural flow of energy. This is the difference between stimulation and nourishment. Stimulants whip the body into temporary action, leaving you drained afterward. Nourishment rebuilds from the inside out so that the energy is yours to keep. In Shaolin training, there are times when the body is pushed far beyond normal limits. The muscles tremble, the breath becomes shallow, the mind struggles to stay focused. In those times, recovery foods like the goji berry are not a luxury. They are essential. Without them, the body would not last. With them, training can continue day after day, and strength is built rather than destroyed. The same principle applies to everyday life. You do not need to be a monk to benefit from this. If you are tired from work, if your legs are heavy from standing, or if you simply feel that age is taking away your power, you can test this for yourself. Take a handful of goji berries in the evening. Not in a rush, not while distracted, but with awareness. Chew them slowly, notice their sweetness, and breathe deeply as you eat. Then rest. Allow the body to do its work. When you wake the next morning, feel the difference in your legs, in your balance, in the ease with which you move. This is not magic. It is simply the body being given what it has been missing. The important thing to remember is that food is not separate from practice. The food gives the body fuel, but how you eat and how you live will determine how that fuel is used. If you combine nourishment with mindfulness, the effect is multiplied. That is why I do not simply tell you to eat this food. I tell you to approach it with respect, as part of your training, as part of your path. So, if you truly wish to regain strength, do not search for complicated formulas. Begin with something as simple as a small berry. It holds the power of generations of wisdom and the nourishment of the earth itself. Never underestimate the simple. What looks small may carry the key to great transformation. When we hear the phrase, 12 hours to transformation, some may doubt. How could the body change so quickly? But if you understand how the body works, you realize that transformation is not always about years of practice. Sometimes it is about giving the body exactly what it needs at the right moment. And when that happens, the results can be felt in a single night. The cycle of the body is always active. In fact, while you sleep, the body works harder than you imagine. It repairs cells, restores circulation, clears toxins, and resets the nervous system. The problem is that most people go to bed with nothing to support this natural process. They go to sleep with heavy meals still digesting, with a restless mind still spinning, or with the body depleted of the nutrients required for repair. And so they wake up the same, or worse, than they were before. But if you prepare correctly, if you combine nourishment, rest, and awareness, you can turn those same hours into a period of deep transformation. This is why I speak of 12 hours. It is not about doing more. It is about aligning with what the body is already trying to do. The process is simple. In the evening, before rest, you consume the recovery food, like the goji berry, with full awareness. You do not need much. A handful is enough. This provides the body with immediate nutrients, circulation support, and a gentle source of energy that does not disrupt rest. Then you allow your system to settle. No stimulants, no heavy food, no distraction. Give your body the quiet it needs to do its work. The second step is rest itself. But here, rest does not mean simply collapsing into sleep. It means entering sleep with the right intention. Before closing your eyes, take a few minutes to breathe deeply. Inhale through the nose, let the breath expand the belly, then exhale slowly through the mouth. Do this for several cycles until your heart slows and your mind begins to quiet. In this way, your body enters the night already in repair mode. The third step is trust. Too often, people expect results and then worry if they do not feel immediate changes. But the body does not respond well to pressure. If you trust the process, if you simply let go and allow your system to work, the transformation happens naturally. It is like planting a seed in the soil. If you keep digging it up to check its growth, it will never sprout. But if you water it and trust the earth, life appears, and then comes the morning. This is when you will notice the difference. If you have followed the process, you will wake up not with the usual heaviness, but with a feeling of lightness in the legs, clarity in the mind, and more energy in your step. This is not an illusion. It is the result of the body being given what it needed and being allowed to restore itself. The 12 hours were not ordinary. They were purposeful. Now, do not misunderstand. This is not a miracle or a shortcut. The body cannot be tricked. It only responds to truth. The truth is that you gave it proper fuel, proper rest, and proper breathing. And in return, it gave you recovery. The more consistently you follow this routine, the stronger the results will become. One night may surprise you. Many nights will transform you. So when you hear 12 hours to transformation, understand it as an invitation. The body already knows how to heal. Your task is simply to stop interfering, to provide the right support, and to trust the wisdom of your own system. Remember, this one night can change you, if you allow it. When we speak about strength, it is tempting to think only of dramatic changes or sudden breakthroughs. But true transformation is rarely loud. It is not a single act of force. It is the quiet repetition of small, simple actions carried out with discipline. One food, one breath, one moment of awareness, done daily, consistently, has more power than the strongest effort done once and then abandoned. This is where many people stumble. They discover something that works, they feel its effect, and then they move on, thinking they no longer need it. But strength is not something you win once. It is something you cultivate again and again. Just as the sun rises each day to bring life to the earth, you too must rise each day to nourish your body and mind. In Shaolin practice, discipline is not seen as a punishment or restriction. It is freedom, because discipline removes the burden of choice. You no longer ask yourself, should I eat well today? Should I train today? Should I breathe deeply today? The answer is always yes. And because it is always yes, the mind becomes quiet and energy is not wasted on indecision. What looks like discipline from the outside feels like simplicity from the inside. The same principle applies to the food we have been speaking about. Eating one handful of goji berries or whichever recovery food you choose will give you benefit tonight. But eating them with consistency, combined with awareness, rest, and mindful practice, will change the foundation of your strength. It will no longer be temporary. It will become a way of life. Some may say, but this is too simple. Surely there must be something more. And yet it is the simple things that are the most powerful, precisely because they can be repeated. Complexity creates excuses. Simplicity creates action. If you make the practice complicated, you will stop when life becomes difficult. But if the practice is simple, you will continue. And in continuing, you will become strong. There is also a deeper truth here. Consistency is not only about building muscle or stamina. It is about building trust with yourself. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you strengthen the mind. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you can be trusted. And when the mind trusts itself, there is no obstacle too great. You walk with certainty because you know you will follow through. So the real teaching is not just about food. It is about a way of living. Discipline in eating leads to discipline in movement. Discipline in movement leads to discipline in thought. And discipline in thought leads to freedom from chaos and fear. From one simple action, choosing nourishment with awareness, an entire path unfolds. This is why I remind you strength is not an accident. It is not luck. It is the result of alignment, of food, of breath, of rest, of daily discipline. And it does not belong only to monks or athletes or masters. It belongs to anyone who is willing to take small steps with consistency. If you truly wish to regain strength, then do not look for miracles. Look for what you can repeat each day with clarity. That is where transformation hides, not in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary made sacred through discipline. So carry this with you. Strength is not built in a moment. It is built in every moment you choose with awareness.